Okay. Good morning, Ms. Batista. I am glad to meet with you today, and I'm excited to hear what you have planned for your lesson. Can you please tell me about it?
Okay. So the lesson for this week is rights and responsibilities. The TEKs that we're going to be covering for the lesson are TEK 2 and TEK 5. This is specifically covering the areas regarding using context to understand word meaning and using mental reading skills to understand the text. We are doing a read aloud. Um, this read aloud has three different areas, levels to it, level 1, 2, and 3. This is based on our unique learning system for our self-contained students. So we are going to do the read aloud on the level 3. As we break it down, level 1, 2, and 3 will be incorporated. Our learning objective is to read a variety of texts and to gain information. Our learning goal is I can tell one right students have in high school. The first part we're going to go over is just activating background knowledge. And this is where I am going to use a verbal cue, asking them, can they remember, or like in their neighborhood or community, they'll be able to turn to a partner and ask about different communities and different rights and responsibilities they have within their community and their home. And then the next part after we go through that, when we talk about bringing up background knowledge, we'll go over what type of rights and responsibilities they have in school. This is a turn and talk situation, so they will be paired in groups of 2. As we move down into the lesson, we're going to go into any type of, not any type, the before reading knowledge, where we kind of introduce our topics. In this lesson, as we prepare in our daily routines and schedules, we do introducing of the new topic words, meaning the words we're going to cover in our reading selection. So they are added to the word wall for the week. And so at this point, I'm going to go over verbally what the words are in their groups, and they will take turns, or I'll assign specific students the word to add to the word wall as we go over that. The next part is before we read, we're going to go over the title of the story, and then we'll look into visuals of the story. We'll use some inferencing here where I'll reach out to and call on certain students to ask them as they read the selection or looking at the picture of the selection, the cover of the book or story, and ask them what do they think the story is about. Next, I will introduce the goal for today, which is tell me one of the rights students have in high school. And that's the goal for reading.
Okay. Let me ask you, when it comes to the verbal cues and talking about the responsibilities, what kind of scaffolding are you going to have for students who might be in maybe the autism spectrum, or that might have difficulty relating and talking in groups? Do you still allow for them to participate in the activity independently and they just record on their own? Or would they, for example, still have the same activity but just with less requirements?
So the activities are, because of how individualized it is when it comes to the tier level for the students, it's the same story. The reading just kind of tiered off to 1, 2, and 3 based on the data we have for how they scored. If they're on level 2, that's the documents they have. So that's the reading level that's presented in front of them. The activities will be geared towards that. So my students who are on the autistic spectrum that are using a communication board or cutouts to be able to communicate what their understanding and rights, they'll have access to that on their desk for their tools within their reading selection.
Excellent. And is it something similar for ESL or emerging bilingual students? They will have maybe a story that is shorter or with less complicated vocabulary depending on the level that they are with the comfortable with the language. Perfect.
Yes, even there's the first level itself has the vocabulary plus word pictures. under some of the specific vocabulary. So we could see a sentence where there would be one or two words, and then under that, you're going to see the picture representations as we move throughout the sentence. So they'll be able to follow along with the understanding of the reading.
Excellent.
Okay.
Is just one more question. We move
Uh-huh.
on. Is inferencing something that you're going to introduce as part of this lesson, or the skill of inferencing and what it means has already been presented to them?
So the skill of inferencing has already been presented to them. And this specifically, we are using that skill set to be able to look at the cover or the introduction picture of the story and be able to and infer or use that skill set that it's already been introduced to reinforce the instruction during this read aloud.
Excellent.
Okay.
Yes, you have. Please continue.
No. If you're ready to continue, ask questions, and I will I'll go next when it's ready, when it's time.
Perfect. Do you have any plan for redirecting students who are distracted or refuse to participate in the activities?
Yes, we are, as we get ready to do we're doing the background knowledge and asking the inference questions. I am going to be moving around me and my TA from group to group to make sure that we're asking each individual student based on their needs and their communication style. So they can engage and they are able to respond and engage in the questioning. Far as redirection, we do have a behavior redirection system in the classroom, specifically the first verbal warning. The second, we need to step outside, and we'll continue those steps as moving forward as we do any type of redirection in the classroom.
Excellent. So these are steps that you have already presented probably at the beginning of the year, and they're already familiar with
Yes.
the classroom procedures.
Yes, ma'am. This is part of our classroom procedures that we would do as far as redirection if we're not able to focus on the instruction or activity at hand.
Excellent. Okay. And which methods are you going to use to evaluate, or for some type of common formative assessment, or just to verify that the students are making the necessary progress as you move through the day?
So as we move into when we get into the actual the reading of the story and we start asking questions, even before the reading, we're going to work to make sure that I ask the question directly to each student to gauge verbally where they think or rights or responsibilities when they start thinking about that pre-work before we get there. Every student will be asked a question to make sure we have an answer. At the end, there is an after reading assignment that they are doing, and the expectation is to be able to judge and use that data to see where they are as far as mastery of understanding the concepts and the read aloud and the material. More specifically, there's a writing follow-up afterwards, and this is where we just continue the discussion regarding the read aloud.
So there is going to be the first, like you said, uh, the read aloud. Brace, you have the learning system with the verbal cues and the talking and communicating about the responsibilities, kind of bringing up the topic so they can have in their mind what is the kind of priming them for the topic. Then they're going to get into the reading, and then they do the turn and talk.
Yeah. So the turn and talk actually happens prior to the reading. It's the before reading. We want to gauge that beforehand knowledge or that background knowledge of roles and responsibilities. See, we're using examples like of responsibilities they would have at home, rights and responsibilities they would have at home. What are some ones they can imagine they would have in their community? And this could be maybe in their church or any type of boys and girls club or if they're in like Boy Scouts or anything that they have outside to see if they can kind of connect that information to what we're about to go into now. After we read is where we go into more specifically the questions regarding how we can apply that to school. So each student on their level will be assessed for them to be able to write independently on how they would describe the rights of students in high school based on the reading after they've got through the reading.
Okay. And at that point, when after they do the questions, should I expect to see them going back to whole class and discussing the questions, or would you post the correct answers to the questions somewhere where they can find them later? Is this maybe something you would discuss as a warm up the next day? What would be the follow up to reviewing the answers? Correct.
So the follow-up to review is going to go back to the whole group. We will meet back up and post questions and answers on the board for the students and allow them to, of course, give their what they put down, their opinion of what the rights and responsibilities are based on the levels and the modes of communication for each student.
Excellent. And what would be the closing procedure for the lesson?
So the closing procedure, the students will be provided an opportunity. This is where they will work independently. They will be writing. It'll be a writing assignment using words or pictures to and they will be given sentence starters and other supports needed to be able to write. And you're going to write about what you think students should have in school and why is this right important. So what right do you think students should have and why is it important? That's the writing assignment as we follow up at the end.
Excellent. This sounds like it's going to be a very fun and engaging lesson. I'm looking forward especially to seeing how each of the students' needs and the levels is going to be applied in the class. And I'm looking forward to observing you.
Yeah. I am going to provide you with the Rights and Responsibilities book. We have what's called a master snapshot. In this snapshot, it will have the different levels. It'll also have like the alternative instructions and right supports that are been provided to every student within the level that they are at.
Excellent. Sounds great. Well, thank you so much, Ms. Batista. I will be seeing you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Looks good.
Okay, all right. And I should be able to pull that. Do you know where I pull that up at?
You would open that again, right? You will hit Microsoft G again, and then it opens up with your captures. If not, you can see it in your camera roll too in your captures in your files.
Got it. Thank you. I've never recorded from Teams. I've always recorded from another program.
I see. Okay.
Okay. So the next part is
the post conference. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Wait, let me do it. Are we ready?
Yes, as soon as you're.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good.
I'm glad to hear. I'm well as well. It was really exciting to see your lesson and how you use the point where you were in the unit to support the students' learning and also to make them very conscious and aware citizens. Because a big part that I notice is that it's not just making them aware of the responsibilities they have, which could easily turn into students feeling that they have a burden, into seeing them contributions that they make into their household, into societies, and how much other people have in their plate, and how different cultures or different households manage that. Right when they do the turn and talk, sorry, they realize how other students and other parents have different expectations and other ways of finding acceptable household collaboration. Some students I saw did not necessarily have to contribute in the household, and others were expected to not only do chores but also take care of their younger siblings and have a lot of other things going on. What did you feel was the best part of the lesson?
I feel the best part of the lesson was the ability for the students to be able to follow along with the differentiation of the reading. I feel like that part of the lesson did go well. That is one part of the lesson. Having the students be able, even my students who cannot necessarily read print, were able to read the visual pictures to be able to follow along. And so when you were checking for understanding, you could see that each student on their mode of reading was able to follow along exactly where we are. So even with me reading the level 3, they were able to read the level 1, the level 2, and still follow along with the reading.
Yes, that was very good. I noticed it too. To me, my favorite part was that I saw them that they were genuinely interested in what they were talking about. Uh, because at their age, they see responsibilities again as a burden, as a bad thing. They would rather be doing something else. But I think you did a great job at seeing them, making them see that this is something to be proud of, right? Being able to handle your own responsibilities and demonstrate that you are capable is a good thing. Um, and I really appreciate that you were able to show me that. It was a great experience for me. I noticed that you had kind of a system of gestures to redirect the students. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you have communicated that with the kids throughout the year to get them to redirect themselves?
So a lot of my students, we are working on nonverbal hand signals to be able to for redirection, also to so they some students specifically had listed in their IEP where they struggle socially emotionally with public redirection. So focusing on unified hand signals when I am as far as redirection to make sure that they understand, hey, we've gone too far, we need to get back on task. And some of those are more specific to my nonverbal students. Others are specific to some of my social emotional students. They are individualized, so you will see different hand signals for each student as far as that communication. It's also working on hand signals as we transition from activity to the next is also helpful in warning the students, giving them a pre-warning as we get ready to move into the next activities for them to be able to handle. I've noticed that these nonverbal signals work better than the verbal communication. Sometimes our tone, even sometimes even my verbal signals, I have to make sure that isn't a non-threatening, very uh, easy posture, making sure that I've taken my time with the hand signals so that it is communicated and the students understand what is going on and how to move accordingly to each of the responses.
Very good. Thank you. I like that you had all of your resources posted online as well so that students could uh, access the material and all the resources later if they needed to or before the test for studying at home. So I really wanted to commend you for that. It seems like very considerate of you, especially for those students that might be absent or might be homebound at some point, and maybe if they want to refresh the information before a test. That seemed to me that was a very helpful and efficient from you. Has this been something that students or parents have brought up to you before or they have requested?
Yes, I'll give you the first instance we had. We do have a student with autism who can become a little nervous and have some true anxiety regarding any type of UGCUP assignments or homework assignments or things that will be graded. So it has worked better for them to be able to preview some of this material prior to coming to class. So they have an idea of what it looks like, and there's a little less anxiety or apprehension when looking at a large reading like that. It's specifically for the student, they were on a level 2, so the level 3 reading is very long and it's a lot of words. So if this is the first time seeing it, we normally would get some type of behaviors and a refusal to work and some shutdown and just not being able to understand or be able to even interpret any of the curriculum due to the fact that he just had so much anxiety regarding the material. Also, some of the parents did want to look at some extra practices and resources so for their students at home. So they were able to look at what we're doing in class and be able to look up other stuff at home to help better support their students. So when they get to class, there was we've seen some improvement in them being able to transition from the activity to activity or understand a little bit more what we're asking of them. When we talk about some of the academic vocabulary, when we ask them to think about their rights and responsibilities within the community, we would use that information. They've already previewed it. They've been using it outside and connecting that some of their real world experiences, and they were able to bring it back in the classroom. this strengthened students' ability to be able to stay on task and stay engaged. So we added this as a practice to help support. And it's definitely we've been able to partner with parents and parent meetings, specifically when we talk, when we're going, my teachers are going over and TA has been talking to parents outside of the classroom regarding student progress and parent concerns. These were some of the concerns brought up, and this was a very good solution, we thought, and is very working very well in class. And students are responding well to it, and parents feel a little bit more empowered when they're supporting their students at home.
Excellent. I love that. And that is one thing that I wanted to ask because one thing I noticed is that I did not see any tutorial times posted that you have regularly. And I wanted to obtain a little bit more information about how do you address additional supports for students if they need some sort of intervention. And I wanted to know how do you do that? If you offer tutorials before school, after school, or during lunch, how do you address those gaps in learning?
We normally do gaps in learning during the day, during not necessarily lunch, but we have built-in breaks within the day, and we've built in those tutorial systems. We are, as a department in our looking into after school tutoring as well. We did notice that there is some gaps, like you said, for that tutorial to happen in class. We do believe after school may provide us a little bit more time for those prerequisite skills for the lesson. In particular, this skill, like you said, had inferencing and a lot of supports needed, prerequisite skills needed to be able to engage in the lesson, produce work in the lesson, and be able to finish that exit ticket in the lesson. So we do need are looking into developing some stronger outside after school tutoring that's intentional and working on those prerequisite skills needed to be able to be more successful in the classroom.
I like it. And I was asking that not only because I think that you're doing a fantastic job, especially at addressing a majority of students and what they need, because I wanted to know how do you plan on growing your program or what is your goal right now for the next couple of years to see how you can expand into bringing in other teachers to collaborate and make sure that they are expanding what you can do. Do you need hiring? Do you are looking for additional TAs? What do you feel like you need in order to be able to grow the program?
I think specifically I'm going to talk about first about instructional wise. Some of the level of instruction that we use today was very engaging for the students. They seem to being able to connect that. I would like to partner with some of the on grade level, maybe the English level, to see what reading samples they're using, and to see if we can incorporate that a little bit more into if there's a way we could look at a differentiation on the levels of reading to give me a different resource that would allow more reading that would engage the students on their uh, not just grade level but their age level. A lot of the levels, when you go talk about differentiation, they can change the actual reading to where it may not be appropriate for the grade level based on the reading level. And we wanted to look at different, stronger resources for reading that would support student engagement and make them feel a little proud and more empowered to read some of the readings without feeling any type of negative social emotional concerns regarding the reading being a level that's not on their grade level. Maybe it feels like it would be for a kindergartner, not for a ninth grader. We want to make sure that they feel safe and secure in their educational environment with their reading. Far as support, I would like to see if we could get, of course, we would always love for additional TA support as we move into community-based learning. There's so many other real ways we can apply some of these concepts that we're learning in the reading far as rights and responsibilities to getting our students a little bit more involved in their educational community. Now, they do need more support, and that's where I would need the TAs to be able to engage with them in things like maybe if they wanted to join band or student council, to maybe support some of the activities that would be for their class or their peers, and give them a little bit more access to the educational community and events and activities and clubs. But they just need a little bit more additional, maybe adult support to help guide them in those areas as they transition and move throughout the school. That's one area for as community-based learning I would like to see grow within our program. And far as like the when we're in reading now, but when we get into like our math section and stuff like that, real world finance and stuff like that, we would like to partner with our college ready courses and that our counseling team to see if they can better support us with maybe some stronger connections when it comes to our curriculum of how to support these students when we talk about not only community-based learning, but getting them ready for that transitional learning into the actual real world. So we can look at some maybe some work-based learning where they can understand finances and what that looks like in their everyday.
Excellent. So that would be a partnership between, it sounds like a little bit of the parent teacher organization, a little bit bringing in
Mhm.
those experiences, and maybe perhaps also, like you said, the counselors and bringing in, do you have like perhaps a community college that can come in present, encourage the students to find other avenues, trades that can encourage them also to find different avenues and different purposes to feel that they don't have to have maybe certain level of academic readiness to still be successful, and that will
Mm.
potentially motivate them to do well in their current academic courses and not feel like they are being left out or being behind, and they can still catch up. Because
Yeah.
I think we all experience that perhaps the budgetary support is not necessarily there, but hopefully we can still motivate the students to feel like they are making progress. And I've noticed that you did really good at that in showing the students that their knowledge was valuable and that what they were doing was significant and it was still progress. You're doing a really good job of meeting the students where they are, which was I was very very happy about. So it sounds like for the most part you could use one or two more TAs and curriculum supports.
Yes. I also know that we already partner with a lot of organizations with budget restraints. I think it would be easier just to look into those the organizations that we already currently partner with and see if there's some areas they can actually we may not know about that they actually already provide on those campuses and with those additional resources and see if we can maybe work on expanding them into our program so we can make it a little bit more individualized for our students to be able to achieve their transition needs and also their academic and concerns as well.
Absolutely. Sounds like we need to sit down and create a team to look into some grants potentially and some donors that can assist with supporting those students who are a little bit lagging a little bit in the academic readiness in the CCMR area as well to make sure that they do not feel like we are failing them, right? And make sure that we are doing our part to fulfill their needs, like you said. Do you have
Mhm.
any questions for me? Anything that I have not covered for you?
Yes, I do have some questions for you. Speaking of things that we do need, when we talk about resources, I know there is some budget restraints, but I would want to know if there would, if we can get some manipulatives specifically when we talk about for reading assignments to move forward uh, to support some of my community-based learning. That could be, or like for instance, here, I just need access to be able to use more. Lamination for visuals, um, colored paper for help out to better understand that. Um, uh, Specifically for like math, of course, we need any type of money manipulatives you have as well. Those could be some good things. far as feedback on my lesson, I did know there's some areas that I know I could probably grow in, and I just wanted, of course, any feedback on those areas. I do see there was a little, some of my kids were off topic. And we had to do some redirection, of course, with, like you said, with the hand signals. Is there anything that you saw on your end that may better support my redirection to make sure that we can maybe stop that on the front end rather than what we experienced today in class?
Absolutely. I did see, like you said, a couple of students that it took a little bit longer for them to fulfill the task. Um, uh, I think a little bit of proximity, they did seem to respond very well. They did seem to respect you, and they did seem to respond well when you were near them. And I believe that it appeared to me that their lack of completion was the fact that they felt uncertain about what they had to do, and they did feel like they were completing the task once that you would approach, and they felt like they had you there for support. And that might be a little bit of building in that confidence in them. Maybe those students need additional, like you said, you need some manipulatives and some reading support. Maybe perhaps it's that those students have not been identified yet as needing additional supports, and we are not doing our job at identifying them as needing those extra needs. But it was mostly that reiteration of the rules before we begin. Make sure we have a timer set up, that they understand that we need to complete these tasks by this time so they can also receive appropriate feedback. And as always, following through with our expectations and consequences. If hopefully, based on our conversations, I'm going to bring up these concerns to my team, and looking at the data and the TARP records, we can find it that we can go over the budget and support this, obtaining a bit more physical material. It seems like what you need are more not software or not computers or anything like that, but actual physical materials in order to better support these students. And it seems like, especially in the area of math and reading, is your greater concern. So have noted down like the color paper, the access to laminating, the reading support, and the manipulatives for the students to be able to have tangible uh, materials that they can utilize to better demonstrate the learning and better acquire the knowledge in your
Yeah.
course.
I think there's like one more area that I think we would benefit from, and that would be is there any training that I could have with just station teaching? I do understand the whole group works really well, of course, in this class due to the reading concerns I have. But I do know that station teaching has been a great gain for students, specifically in this setting, and being able to maybe necessarily work one-on-one with that group and provide some visuals, maybe with like a step-by-step, little like a little, basically a little cheat sheet or a visual aid that showed them like, hey, once I say we're going to do this in independent work, maybe we can do like 1, 2, 3. This is what you're expected to do for visuals. But I think I need a little bit more training to be able to do student teaching to enhance what that looks like for them, and also to better use the resources I have to enhance my instruction, and to make it more individualized with like visual schedules, to increase my math, the computation in the class. I believe station teaching would help benefit that. And I do know that that is an area that I don't have as much experience in
Mhm.
and as much background knowledge in. And so I would also like to, if there's any training in that, also if there is any type of opportunity where I can maybe view one of the other teachers that are doing station teaching very well, just to observe her and see how well she's doing it. And that way I can see how much front end work would need to be able to done so I can better implement those stations in my class to make sure that they're supported for each student and supplied.
I
as
agree.
well.
That's an excellent suggestion and some self-awareness. At the current time, I'm not aware of any training that we might have in the district regarding this, but this is something I can definitely bring up to see if it's something that we could look up into some professional associations that might be doing it that we can add you to, or see if perhaps there is something that we can have, like you said, some master teacher in our campus create something that she can present or she can forward, or you can observe her. Um, I can tell you from experience, it does take a bit of some work ahead, but it's definitely very, very beneficial for the students, especially because they get to take some agency of their learning. They get to collaborate a lot, and it helps them a lot going through the stations and kind of moving a bit of their own pace. So I'm really looking forward to being able to help you with that training.
Okay. All right. And so you'll just let me know after this meeting.
Yes.
Would you happen to know next steps for me?
Right now, I just want you to start thinking about which goals do you want to focus on for next year. And like I said, how would you want to grow your program? So that would be the professional goal and a personal goal as well. So just keep those two in mind so that way a little bit down the road after I call you and find out a bit more for the training that we can decide how we're going to proceed and which are the best places to allocate for you, right, and where to best place you. And in addition to this training regarding stations, which would be the best place for us to send you and how to best make you grow.
Okay. And then the last thing, uh, as we know, this is one of many observations I'll have for the rest of the year. Um, what can I necessarily work on when I get preparing my lessons and my instruction as to get me better prepared as far as to make growth for my next evaluation?
Absolutely. As you said, just continuing with your PLC collaboration, making sure you have a very cohesive team. That way you receive and share tools and strategies from other students. That way you can communicate and support each other regarding students. And as well, make sure that you continue to belong and adjust yourself to associations that can help you grow. Making, that networking, make sure that you continue to connect with people that have like mindsets like yours that also have that desire to grow and learn. And I would say also make sure that you connect with leaders in departments and areas in other campuses. Because that is also going to assist you, with answering those questions that you have, and maybe they can also provide you with tools regarding these. Maybe they have already created manipulatives and they have them, or maybe a retiring teacher that already has things created, and you do not have to go through the trouble of it. I feel like those things will be very convenient and beneficial for you while we figure out what can we do for you.
Well, thank you again for your feedback. It was very valuable. And thank you for coming to my class and providing me with the support that I need.
Thank you so much. You have a great day.
Thank you. Okay.